Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Vishnupad, Paramananda Parvajin Chastita, Satirishi, Shishman, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantharaj Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. All glories to some of the devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Dejatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Yesterday, we discussed the verse Kamasyanandriya Pritir Labo Jivata Yavato Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yascheha Karma Bihi. And this verse said that life's desires should never be directed toward sense gratification. So pranab, what is sense gratification? When you say what do we say? Hare Krishna, yes. Microphone. Go ahead and say it. When we use everything, what? Yes, very good. So this verse says, life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. However, one should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation. So yesterday we discussed two levels of the understanding of self-preservation. So neither Tulsi nor Pranab was here, but you were here. You know what the two levels are of the meaning of self-preservation?
So the first level is that...
You have the microphone? 1 second. The first level is?
The first level is that we have to take care of definitely the body.
So that's the materialistic understanding.
That is a materialistic concept. And
when you say self-preservation, materialistic people think, I have to take care of the body. Right? Go ahead.
And the actual one is that to take care of the soul.
Yes. Because the body is being what? Maintained by the soul. If you just take care of the body and ignore the soul, that's not real self-preservation. It's half of the meaning. Let's put it like that. It's half the meaning. If your soul is in good shape, your body will be in good shape. If your body is in good shape, your soul may or may not be in good shape. So it's better to pay attention to your soul, and the body will follow. Because body is being kept alive by the soul. Okay. So then, Tulsi, let me ask you a question. How would you keep your soul in good shape? Exactly right. Very good. But chanting what? Chanting hallelujah or marijuana or what? As, let's say it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Very good. That's the way you keep your soul healthy. What happens if you don't chant every day? Then your soul won't be happy. Right? That means that your body won't be good either. Okay, so life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. What is an inquiry? Pranav, you know what inquiry is?
Inquiry or inquiry?
Well, it comes from it's the same word.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
You need to know about something and you need to inquire about it?
Yes. You don't learn, this is a proverb, you don't learn by talking, you learn by listening and asking questions. Then you learn something. Yeah. So, since human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth, so see, what does that mean? Inquiry about the absolute truth. This is the meaning of human life. Inquiry means asking questions, right? No, about the absolute truth, or basically questions about Krishna. Right. Nothing else should be the goal of one's life. What if one says, I want to be a SpaceX pilot? Should that be the goal of life? What if one says, I want to be the next Jeff Bezos and make my own Amazon company? Should that be the goal of life? So what should be the goal of life? Yeah, but the way to do that is to ask questions about who is the Godhead? What is the Godhead? How to go back to Godhead? How can you go back to Godhead if you don't ask questions and find out how to do it? Like if you want to find out how to solve a math problem, right, in school, what do?
You use operations and you ask the teacher.
Ask questions, right? If there's something you don't understand, you ask questions. Okay, so in this purport, or Prabhupada's explanation of this verse, he says, the completely bewildered material civilization is wrongly directed toward the fulfillment of desires and sense gratification. So this is like buying a new car, and when you drive out of the car dealership, you go in the wrong direction. Will you get to where you want to go? No. So even if you have a new car, you still won't get there. So more important than the car is knowing which direction to go, right? Even if you walk, you'll get there eventually. But if you go in the wrong direction, you'll never get there, right? So therefore, this civilization that we're living in, it's called a material civilization, is wrongly directing us, thinking that the good desire of the real need of life is sense gratification. So all the education, all the thinking, all the philosophy books, all the explanation of holy books is being directed towards sense gratification of our own selfish desires, rather than, I'm not saying sense gratification is not the goal of life. The sense gratification of Krishna is the goal of life. We should use our senses to please Krishna's senses. So when you do arti, whose senses are you pleasing? Yeah, you're not offering the incense to yourself like this, and then you offer the ghee wick to yourself, and then you offer the flower to yourself. You're offering it to Krishna. So that means all those things are for pleasing the senses. The incense has a nice smell, the flower has a nice smell, and ghee wick is warmth, and like that. So it's all pleasing to Krishna, right? But material civilization is all about pleasing our own senses in a selfish way. And most kids growing up in America, by watching television, going to schools, hanging out with their friends, what do they learn mostly? What's the overriding theme? Yeah, would you agree with it? I mean, you have some friends at school, right? What do they talk about?
Fortnite.
What?
Fortnite.
Fortnite?
Yeah.
What's that? Tell me what that is.
It's like a video game where you have to kill people with guns and pickaxes.
My God. That's what they're talking about?
They're like talking about buying all the new skins. That cost,
New what?
New skins for the character that cost like $100.
What's a new skin for the character? Which
Like,
character? The
how the
Fortnite is a character?
No, Fortnite's the game, but the so
We're learning
there's-
something here now.
There's there's a guy or a girl that gets guns to kill people,
Oh, there is.
and the guy or the girl could look different, like their outfit and what gun they're using and what pickaxe they're using and what glider they're using, and then they spend like $100.
It's like a virtual wardrobe, but you're spending real money.
Yeah.
Virtual what?
Wardrobe, different clothes.
Oh, so your friends are talking about what kind of guns, what kind of clothes to buy for the guy or the girl.
And they spend money online.
They spend most of my classmates at least spend about $500 by now
Online.
online for the
You
game.
know about this?
No, I'm learning from him. I don't know from him.
But you just said something he didn't say about it.
I understood. Virtual wardrobe means
Oh, okay. No, I'm not saying something wrong that you know about it, but you know.
And then the sim game released seasons. So in seasons you have to pay $10.
what is season?
Seasons, like summer, like.
Oh.
But they released number
You have
seasons.
to buy different clothes for
Yeah.
seasons,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And you have
and
to
different
buy,
guns maybe, or different
and you
colored
have-
guns.
and you
know.
have to
maybe
buy-
green for summer, white for winter, right?
Because 5 years ago I saw Sanskriti painting somewhere, and they were like dresses she was putting for their doll. So I could relate that this could be like maybe they have to buy.
Wow. I'm learning something new here. You knew this?
No.
No, Prabhu, this is.
I've heard about Fortnite in the news, like coming up like this is something new, but I didn't know what exactly it was. But I'm surprised parents allow their kids to spend.
I've never heard from Krishna.
$500.
Do you
No, I don't.
you don't? I mean, is it free? Like can you go
Yeah,
and
it's free download, but you have to pay for all
For
the
everything
stuff.
else.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sanskriti told me something interesting, Prabhu. She was saying that the name of the games are like cool math or something,
Cool math.
cool math game or something, and then parents will think that this is kids are practicing math.
Ah.
Yeah, she told me that.
But they're actually just.
Can you speak into the mic and tell what cool math? What you mean?
Well, you're just playing games. You're not really doing
What are
math.
the apps like cool math?
Like you have wizards that kill other people, and you have
Cool math also is killing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know.
well, you have to count how many people you kill.
And
then you have to divide it by 2, you know, and then multiply it by 10. You know.
And then for Fortnite on Halloween, they released something called Fortnite Mirrors, where they add zombies to the game, and you have to try to kill the zombies.
Oh,
And it like.
In Fortnite?
yeah.
Yeah, in Fortnite.
You-
In Halloween,
Halloween
they
special.
killed zombies.
Oh, Halloween special. Oh.
And then one of my friends got scared, and he got really scared, and he uninstalled Fortnite. Because he has a VR, and the zombie just went up to his face,
Oh,
so he got scared.
So, how do the kids pay? They have their own credit cards, or they use their mother and father's credit card? They have their own credit.
own credit card.
But most of the users.
their own debit card. But the mother and father put the money in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't see where it is going. They are Indian kids or?
Some are Indian, some are
Wow.
not. Indian kids are spending like 100
Only on.
to 20.
Indian kids.
And all other.
No, Prabhu, I went to YMCA with Sanskriti and there was a family movie night on Friday. We sat there for 30 seconds and there was some Harry Potter movie going on and then some ghost came out of that and she was like, I want to see it. I'm like, I am scared. You have to be out of it. What you see, that's what you become. So it's all over the place. I didn't realize that Harry Potter has ghosts and all that. Yeah, it does.
A ghost cell. Ghost cell.
All
For adults, it's something else that sells, but for kids, it's ghosts.
Very
Well, no, kids like scary movies and stories, but sometimes, if there's something real that's scary, they get freaked out. You know, as long as it's entertainment scary, it's okay. But if it's real scary, they get freaked out like anything. Yes. Pranav is an expert on all this, so we have to do an interview, Pranav.
So my friend, he went Haribo.
What do you say when you say
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna? Very good.
So he dressed up for Halloween, and I think he spent like around 100 for his costume, and he was a scary clown.
Oh, a scary clown is very bad thing to do.
Yeah, he wore makeup, and he had like a wood dagger that he made from wood, but it was like dull and everything, but it looked real, and he had red hair, and then
Was he arrested by the police?
No.
Did someone call the police?
No.
Oh.
He had like rotten teeth and everything, and he went up to one of our classmates and scared her so much that
Scared the girl.
Yeah, scared the girl.
Oh, that's not fair.
And then
Why didn't he go to some big guy or something, try and scare him?
And then he sent the picture to me, and it scared me so much because he had his dagger and he was like this, and he had his mask on.
He was practicing for later in life.
And at school, at home, when we had a project together that we had to do, after I went back to my house, he watched a movie, and it's this person that keeps on dying from this baby, his name is Chucky, and like.
Is he related to Chuck E. Cheese?
No.
Oh, okay.
And he kept on killing the girl, and then she kept on waking up, and then it's really scary.
Yeah. Well, it's all nectar. It's all nectar. Yeah. Yes. Tus.
On Halloween, one of my friends, they live in the community.
It's called Horrorween. The night of horror. Horrorween.
Yeah, and
Prabhu, you're missing everything. You've missed the whole class, Prabhu. This class is about Fortnite. You don't even know what that is. Go ahead. Okay. What do we say when they say Hare Krishna.
one of my friends,
Hare Krishna. Go ahead.
One of my friends, I went trick-or-treating in her community, and there was this guy who was wearing a ghost costume and had like
They called the police, right? Yeah.
and he had a real sword.
He had a real sword.
Yeah.
Was this a man or a kid? A teenager? 14-year-old. Yeah. Well, welcome to the new culture in America. Culture of death, glorifying death and dead people. Yes.
In my office, Prabhu, this time, I mean, I've been in US for so many years, but I've never seen this. But in this time, they glorified Halloween. Everybody was supposed to dress up for Halloween, and the whole office for at least 10 days looks like a horror place.
Yeah, they have spider webs and skeletons.
All over, so and they actually People put blood all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was really horrible. It was really like...
Your microphone is not on. You probably turned it off.
Yeah, so they were like in the office, that decoration, the theme was Halloween. All the teams were competing, so the whole T-Mobile looked like a horror place. And it was like the skulls were there all over the place.
It went off again.
So I think it is out of battery. Yeah. So that's why it's going off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's going to happen is ISIS is going to come to the United States and do a real Halloween. You know, real murder in the office and everywhere. And
the scariest people.
it's like this. If you want something to happen, first you imitate it. First you imitate it. And then it really happens. See? Yes.
So you said...
This is a very interesting subject. It's aroused the interest of everyone here. Go ahead.
So if you imitate...
If I read another verse, everyone will go to sleep. Go ahead.
That you...
So if you imitate that you see Krishna, will it actually come to real life?
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think the gopis do in Vrindavan?
They see Krishna?
No, they imitate Krishna's pastimes all day long. They will they'll act out the Kaliya serpent pastime, and then they'll act out the Krishna swallowing the fire, right? And then they'll act out Krishna lifting up Govardhan Hill, and then they'll act out Krishna playing with the gopis and the gopas, the cowherd boys. So they're reenacting Krishna's pastimes. If you read the Krishna book, you'll see they'll reenact Krishna's pastimes. Yes?
So what Pooja was telling is a normal in all offices. No, not this Halloween thing.
Yeah. It's called Horrorween. Horror.
So basically, people
Hare
want
Krishna.
to do something new and they don't know what to do in life. And they start...
You should teach them in the office to act out Krishna's pastimes like the gopis. You get dressed up like gopis and gopas and have somebody dressed up like a cow, and you can, make the whole place Vrindavan.
No, Prabhu, in Diwali,
It's not scary enough, right? So that's...
Yeah, that's true, Prabhu, but that's not, for them it may not be a practical thing to do it. They don't understand anything. Yeah.
Well, look, how did they convince people to do Halloween? It didn't happen overnight.
It's because...
It didn't happen overnight. Halloween was not practiced traditionally in America. It started at some point. And by the way, they're starting it in India now too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I read some news.
It's not news, Prabhu. On WhatsApp and Facebook, our devotees are decorating our kids on their kids as on Halloween dresses, and they are posting it there.
Really?
Over here or in India?
In India. When devotee was here, he went to India. His kids are growing up, and one of their kids, like, they dressed up as a Halloween costume, the pumpkin costume, and they have posted the picture. So it's very common there now.
Yes, Tulsi, wait a minute. Tulsi has something important to say. Go ahead, Tulsi.
One of my cousins, in their whole class, in their whole school, they have 700 students. And then all of them were dressed up, and one of my aunts took a big picture. And like everyone was like horrors, like glows and clowns and bunnies and
It's in South India?
yeah.
Yeah. There you go. See, so it was never done in India before now, and it was never done in America either. It just, it became popularized. Yes, Pranav, go ahead.
So
This is more interesting than Bhagavatham, right?
What I realized from going to
There's something wrong with this microphone.
It's not on. It's not on. I just changed the battery. It's off. That's why.
It's,
It's getting off automatically.
I just changed the battery. Maybe I need to. The battery is probably also dead.
So basically, I used to go to Halloween, like, I used to go
Hare Krishna.
for trick or treating, and every year I see something new, and I'm learning something different some years.
You're learning, or you're being horrified with something new?
But so this year I wore I usually just wore I used to, before I came to temple, I used to wear a Grim Reaper robe, so it's just a robe. But then after I came to temple, I realized that that was not how you dress up for Halloween. So me and my friends.
My friends and I, not me and my
friends.
friend.
And I, including a devotee dressed up in all of Krishna devotee gear.
Jai Haribo.
And came to school,
Yeah.
and then some other Indians just joined us because they were also wearing kurtas, and so we had a whole group just wearing kurtas at school.
Well, you should have done kirtan also, with mridangas and
We didn't
kartals.
have the same lunch.
Like we have trick and treat here.
Yeah.
Is it done during Halloween?
Yeah, Halloween.
The similar trick and treat type of thing is there in India also.
Ah.
Yeah. So we call it Lodi.
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 Lori, yeah, in Punjab.
Punjab, yeah.
Yeah, you make a big fire,
Fire,
and you
yeah.
dance around the fire.
Yeah. So one day before
Push
Lodi-
each other into the
yeah,
fire. Yeah.
One day before Lodi, they will do that the Prahlad.
Yeah, they killed Prahlad's the auntie, yeah, the auntie, right.
They will do
Holika.
Holika, yeah. They put her in the fire,
Hare
right?
Krishna.
On that Lodi, what they do, I used to do it as a kid.
Yeah.
We used to go home, every home.
Yeah, speak into the microphone.
We used to go to every home
Yeah.
in a neighborhood,
Yeah.
and we'll sing a song there for them.
What song? Let me hear the song. Sing it. Go ahead.
Sundar Mundriye oye, tera kaun vichara, dhulla patti wala. You remember that? It's something like that, basically. And the person will come from inside. They will give some sweets or some money or maybe some wood to burn.
Yeah.
Something like that, basically.
Okay. That's good. We should do Lori. We shouldn't do Halloween. We should do Lori. We go door to door and some.
I think that happens in spring because.
No, no.
January.
Lori's
Yes.
is January. Yeah, January is the spring.
Date is changing, but
Yeah.
somewhere in January.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. Well.
Yeah, Prabhu, then as a counter answer, my director and VP, they also said let's do something on Diwali. I was surprised that lot of Americans, one American lady, she wore ethnic dress, and even one or two American folks, they also wore the kurta, ethnic kurtas, and it was very
You
nice.
see there are other places also, like even in Expedia where I work.
The whole floor was
Diwali,
filled.
you see other.
Well, we just did a whole Diwali party in in Facebook, and some of the workers were, Americans were dressed in saris and kurtas.
So one or two people, like Indians, like they were all Indians, they all wore ethnic dress on that day, and I was wearing sari, and at least two ladies, they wanted bindis. They were saying they wanted bindis, they wanted to understand a lot of things, and I got the chance to talk to them.
Yeah.
So that was very good
You
chance.
should say, well, part of the traditional Diwali is you have to have a bead bag with beads, and you chant Hare Krishna.
No, I explained
Hare
them
Krishna.
everything because I was in there. So
Or you have to say Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. Okay, so we see here that there are competing civilizations and competing cultures. And we just had an example of it. There are competing cultures. You have the culture of death, called Halloween. Then you have the culture of Diwali, where you're glorifying Lord Ramachandra, who defeated Ravana and liberated Sita and came back to Ayodhya victoriously. So, you see, these are competing cultures. This is what's going on in America today. There are competing cultures taking place. And which culture is actually American? That's the question. Some people say the true American culture is the culture of Christianity, and because every dollar it's written, "In God we trust." The Constitution was based on the philosophy of John Locke, who was a Christian philosopher. And the idea that all men are created equal, these are all Christian ideas that came in and sort of got watered down, but are embedded in the Constitution of the United States. Other people say, no, it's not. The really original culture of India was the American Indian culture. Huh?
Red Indian.
The what?
Red Indian.
Yeah. Actually, when you say Red Indian, that is actually a racial statement. Yeah. You have to say the Native Americans. Yeah. Just like, they have these names of football teams and baseball teams. So nowadays they're eliminating all the references to Red Indians.
Red Sox.
Red Sox, yeah. Anyway, we see that there are competing cultures. Now, you have to decide which culture. Culture means how you do things. So how do they do things in the video game Fortnite? It's all about killing. So that's a culture. Now, kids that play that game, they're trained in that culture of killing. They have to buy clothes that give you the consciousness of killing, right? And they have to buy guns.
No, they don't buy guns. They
No.
pick up guns.
They what?
They pick up guns in the game.
No, it's all virtual. I know that. They're not buying the real guns. But if you buy guns, that means you have to learn about guns, even though it's virtual. And eventually, when you get older, when you can legally buy guns, you'll go out and buy guns, right? And you'll wear clothes. Like, for example, this guy that just killed 12 people in California, who was an ex-Marine. To go out and kill, he bought black clothes. He actually wore those clothes. Right? Just like in Fortnite, you have to have a wardrobe for killing, and the wardrobe changes according to the seasons, right?
Yeah.
You have a spring wardrobe to kill.
Well, basically.
Yeah. So you see, the real killer, he dressed up in black. Like, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Batman or something. Yeah. And he had real guns. He had real Glock 45 guns. And he went out and killed people. So first you get trained in a game like Fortnite, and when you get older, you actually can do it if you're crazy enough.
Yeah, because some of the kids, Prabhu, they ask this question, why do kids kill so naturally? So they are getting trained via games.
Kids didn't ask, the parents asked. Right. Okay. So we in the Vedic Cultural Center, what are we presenting? We're presenting Vedic culture, how to do things according to the Vedas. That is, we celebrate Diwali, we celebrate Janmashtami, we celebrate the Shinga Chaturthi, we celebrate all these different festivals. It's all about Krishna and his transcendental pastimes. And in those pastimes, what do we learn? Well, I'm going to give you an example. There's a very nice song. It says, Shri Krishna Kirtane Jadi Manasa Tohar Parama Jatane Tahi Labo Adhikar. If your mind is always absorbed in chanting the glories of Lord Krishna with great care, then by that process of Shri Krishna Kirtana, you will attain transcendental qualifications. You should give up all false pride and always consider yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower and more humble than a blade of grass. Wow, this is a red flag for public school teachers, because they're trying to teach each kid to have self-esteem, to think that they are special, they're not worthless, and they can do better and better and become a very successful. Who said that yesterday? Krishna Raheja. He said that his teacher told him that the goal of life is to do really good in your studies and then get a good job and then make a lot of money and enjoy life.
And then die.
Well, yeah, everybody dies. But you want to enjoy life. You want to engage in as much sense gratification as possible, right? The teacher is telling him. So that is a type of culture. That's the materialistic culture. It's what Prabhupada is. But here it's saying you should give up all false pride and always consider yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower, and more humble than a blade of grass. Okay, Mayapur, either you're going to listen to the class or you're going to play with Surya. Which one? You make your decision. Okay, then come over here and sit down. Consider yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower, and more humble than a blade of grass. Now, let's not misinterpret this statement. This statement is actually saying, Chinadapi suni chena, tarorapi saistuna, amanina, manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. You know what that means, Arush? Huh? What did you say? Did you say something? Do you know what that means, what I just said? Trinadapi sudini chena, taror api saistuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. In order to chant Hare Krishna, oh, you know, Pranav? Hare Krishna.
When you said the word kirtana, I think it meant that you can chant the Hare Krishna mantra loud and so that you could get liberated.
Well, in order to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you should be more humble than, more tolerant than, right, and ready to offer all respect to others, right? So what is that? It's called humility. Humility. You become humble. And destitute doesn't mean that you're hopeless. Destitute means you realize that nothing belongs to us. Nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna. So, without Krishna's mercy, because look, every day we're getting food. Where's the food coming from?
Krishna's mercy.
Yeah. Every day we're able to breathe and our heart beats. Where is that coming from? Krishna's mercy. Every day we can see with our eyes and we can hear with our ears. Where is that coming from? Krishna's mercy. So we depend on Krishna's mercy our whole life. So therefore we don't really own anything. These things are given to us to use either properly or improperly. Right? And then when it says lower and more humble than a blade of grass, well, everybody steps on a blade of grass, but the grass doesn't complain. And sometimes the grass gets flattened by their steps, but as time goes on, it comes back up again. Right? So then it says, you should practice forgiveness like that of a tree. How does a tree practice forgiveness? It doesn't complain. People come and cut the bark, animals eat into the tree, and sun dries the tree, and the rain drenches the tree. It doesn't complain. It just stands there and doesn't complain. Right? So, in other words, it's forgiving. And giving up violence toward other living beings. You should protect and maintain them. In other words, never cause harm to any living entity. Right? And then it says, in the course of passing your life, you should never give anxiety to others, scare others, threaten others, make them feel uncomfortable. but rather do good to them while forgetting about your own happiness. In other words, you're not doing things for your own happiness, you're doing things to help others. When one has thus become a great soul, possessing all good qualities, one should abandon all desires for fame and honor and make one's heart humble. Knowing that Lord Krishna resides within all living entities, one should, with great respect, consistently show honor to all beings. By possessing these four qualities, humility, mercifulness, respect toward others, and the renunciation of desires for prestige, one becomes virtuous. What does that mean, virtuous? You know? You know? Arush? Virtuous. Write the word down. virtuous. Next class I'm going to ask you what this word means. You're going to have to look it up and memorize this word. How do you say it? Virtuous, yeah. It actually means that you always do the right thing. You're always honest, you always tell the truth, you're self-controlled, you're merciful, you're clean, and you only have good desires. Right? Virtuous. In such a state, you may sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. In other words, if you follow what this song is saying, what this bhajan is saying, then you'll always be chanting Hare Krishna and you'll be happy. Now, where can you do everything I just described? Where can you do it? What?
In the temple.
No, in Sankirtan. Yeah, in the temple also, but especially in Sankirtan. If you come out on Sankirtan, all these qualities will naturally develop in your heart. Because that's what Sankirtan is. It's doing good to others. It's being humble. It's being kind. It's giving up violence toward other people. It's not scaring people like Halloween. Actually, if you scare someone, it's actually very sinful. To put someone in anxiety and scare them is a very sinful thing to do. What's Halloween all about? Scaring people. What's Fortnite game all about? Killing and scaring people, right? You just described your friend, right? He had a knife, a dagger. He had a scary face, or a scary clown, right? He was a scary clown.
And he had overalls, which made it and it had blood all over
Yeah, and had blood all over it. It looked like blood, right? It was probably some red dye. And this was for Halloween. And he went up to a little girl and scared the heck out of her.
No, she was her classmate.
Went up to a classmate and scared the heck out of her. Actually, scaring a person, putting them in anxiety and fear, is a very sinful thing to do, according to Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Yeah.
On Sankirtan, I met a Punjabi person from Ludhiana. I think he came to your class on Thursday, but he could not understand because it was in English. So he was saying
I know that, yeah.
So he was saying, he talked to me for a long time, and he was like, I came 10 years ago and prepared everything. Now my son goes to Amazon and he has forgotten everything, and he doesn't even bow down to the deities or anything. So whatever you guys are doing, that's really great. He was saying that. He was saying all the children, all the students who are coming here, they should be barred from going to bars. That's what he was saying.
All the students coming here should be barred
from bar.
Going to bars.
That's pretty.
See, that's why I say English can be a very confusing language. You know, someone is learning English, say, barred from going to the bar. You know.
Anyway, Prabhu, he spoke in Punjabi, so I'm transliterating.
Now, you see, this is the problem. This material education makes a child a stranger to her or his parents, because you learn Fortnite. Shwesta, you know what Fortnite is?
Yeah.
What is it?
This game, I've never played it before, but
Do your friends play it in school?
No, but a lot of other people do. And actually, the ASB.
The other people in your school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The student president.
Not your friends in
yeah,
school. Okay.
The student president at large won the elections by saying Fortnite before her speech.
Right. So that was a what you would call a signal, a buzzword that she's cool, right? And therefore you should vote for her because she's a Fortnite aficionado. Write this word down. Now you want to get a high class word. Aficionado. A-F-I-C. Aficionado. A-F-I-C. A-N-D-O or something like that.
A-F-F-I-C-I-O.
Okay, go slowly. Go slowly. Go ahead.
What?
A-F-F? Two F's? A-F-F-I-C-I-O. N-A-D-O. Aficionado. This means a person who has accepted a certain way of life or a certain thing, like a hobby, or they're crazy about a certain type of music, or they're crazy about a certain type of car, or they follow a certain lifestyle, or they are expert in all the paraphernalia of Elvis Presley. So they're an aficionado. They are a fan of. It's basically a fan of something in a very intense way. You know, is that right, Daniel?
Yes, Prabhu.
Do you know that word? Oh, okay. What?
It's saying here a person who is very knowledgeable and enthusiastic about an activity, subject, or pastime.
Yeah. Yes, Pranav.
It's Pranay.
Oh, Pranay. Okay.
Yeah.
Pranay.
Hare Krishna. But so basically, my whole school is an aficionado of Fortnite.
What is your school name?
Inglewood.
So how many kids are in England?
1,200.
1,200 fortnights.
No. 1,190, because 10 people are devotees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you still there and playing?
I don't know, but I don't play. But when I first, so I got a Xbox for my birthday, and it's like pretty old now. But I downloaded Fortnite on it, and it required.
So why did your parents buy
they didn't
you
know.
an Xbox so you could be X'd?
No, so I could
Prabhu,
like,
all the boys, most of the boys here have Xbox.
so I could like play Minecraft, so I could build
Minecraft?
Minecraft. So
That builds what? Builds
you
your
build,
false
like,
ego?
houses. No, you build houses, and you play race car games.
Okay, but
But
what do you learn? What culture is it making you familiar with?
Gaming culture, if that's a culture.
No, but okay, what does this game ask you to do?
It asked me to build houses
Okay.
and stay out of creepers' ways. Like there's a creeper, and basically he's a green blob, and you have to stay out of his way.
Okay.
But you
and
can't really kill in any of the games I have.
so you have to build not really a house, but a fortress
Pretty much, yeah.
to keep the blob out.
Yeah, and then you mine to get like diamonds and gold blocks.
And what do you do with them?
You trade them with villagers for money, and there's not really money. Basically, blocks or money there. So when you have emeralds, you can trade them for something else, like wood or stone.
That's to build.
Yeah, that's to build.
It's all about building.
It's all about
Building a fortress so the blob can't get you. Right. Okay.
And also, when I downloaded the game, it asked me to pay $30. for
Right.
Xbox Live, so I could go online. But I already had that because it came free with the Xbox. It was a package. So when I got it, and then the first thing that showed up was a character with a pickaxe. Okay, and then I didn't know how to play the game yet, so I was just wandering around. And then when I landed, as soon as I landed, I died because I didn't know how to operate the glider.
Oh, you can die in this game.
This is Fortnite. This is Fortnite when I first.
Oh, you're
downloaded.
talking about Fortnite. Okay.
And then my friends told me how to play, and then once I started playing, I played for like a week, and then my brother started coming, and then he started asking me to play. So I knew that he was getting like he's still very.
You didn't want.
young.
You were corrupted, but you didn't want to corrupt
Yeah,
your brother, right?
exactly.
Yes, yes.
So my parents told me to delete the game and just play Minecraft or play Forza, which is a racing game.
What game?
A racing game.
Racing.
With your race cars. And so I deleted it, and
Can you die in the race car game? Oh, you
no.
can't.
You can. The car can get hurt, but you can't get hurt.
Okay. Yes, Tulsi.
They made a new game, and it's like a Krishna game, and so it's like a quiz, and like they ask you questions, and you have to like type the answer, and then you have to submit it. It's like the latest one I've done is like 400 questions.
400 questions?
Yeah,
About Krishna.
yeah.
Okay.
Like where was he born, and like first they were easy, and then they got hard.
Yeah. Good.
Where is that game?
Where is that game?
It's on. I forgot what it's called, but it's you can download it even on a computer.
You can ask your mother and father.
I will.
Yes, Pranay.
So
Hare Krishna.
over the summer, before I went to India, you told me to create a game where you could there's Hare Krishna.
Hare
There's
Krishna.
a gopi or like a gopa or a devotee that's traveling around to find its way back to Godhead, and I'm still working on it.
Oh, very good.
So I'm hoping to release it on the App Store.
Okay, but you
With
have
my
to give
dad's
me a commission
Yeah, I will.
for the idea.
I'll put
It's
credits.
like Trump Tower, it's a Harivilas Tower, you have to- I'm just kidding. Good. I hope that's a very good project. You see, now you can dovetail things into Krishna consciousness. Just like the game, instead of playing Fortnite, you can know about Krishna. Instead of playing Fortnite or some other game, you can go back to Godhead. Yeah. Yes, Pranay.
Also, with the addition of the game, what I'm hoping to work on is I know how popular Fortnite is, so I'm gonna make something called Krishna Night, and so it's basically gonna be
Krishna Day.
Krishna Day, and it's gonna basically be Krishna or Hare Krishna. It's gonna be either Krishna, Arjuna, Rama, or any of the other incarnations, and they have their spiritual weapons, and they're trying to defeat all the demons.
Good. So you see, that's called dovetailing. You get it? And you Krishnaize it. So kids like to play these games, so now let them play games that are not about killing and becoming, advancing by killing, but it should be about advancing back to Godhead. Of course, you're going to make a game about killing demons, right? But you should rather make a game about, I like the idea, of how to go back to Godhead.
I made a prototype.
And you can make money off of the game, because they'll have to buy, tilak, and they'll have to buy, virtual tilak, and they'll have to buy dhotis and kurtas, and you have to buy a ticket to go to Vrindavan, to visit Vrindavan, and then you can also go on South India tour to Tirupati and Kanchipuram and Srirangam. So, I'm giving you an idea, Shrestha and Tulsi and Arush and Mayapur and what's your name? Huh? Samart. This is an idea.
I made a prototype of the game, and my friend played it.
Yeah.
And fun because this is many characters going up the map.
Right.
And it spins to a huge map.
Right. So you learn geography also.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're trying to do is transform all these negative cultures into positive culture. Culture, write the word culture down, C-U-L-T-U-R-E. Write the word culture, Arus, C-U-R-T-U-R-E, C-U-L-T-U-R-E. Culture means how you do things, how you eat. So instead of eating burgers and dogs and ears and wings, right, you eat Mahaprasadam. And instead of dressing in pants and shirt and tie and coat, and you dress in dhotis and saris and so forth. By the way, when you wear a sari, you're always supposed to cover your hair. The hair should never be uncovered for women. And Prabhupada insisted on this, actually. And you'll see those older devotees or devotees that come from more traditional families in India, they always cover their hair. They never walk around with the hair uncovered. Yes?
Tradition for covering the head is in front of elders. The ladies should cover their head. So it's a way of showing respect. Like my mother used to cover her head.
Yeah.
And that's called pallu. Not pallu. Ghungat is different. Pallu, yeah, maybe. So they cover up to here. So they will not show even their face to elders, like elder gents.
Yeah.
In the house.
Right.
When they talk, they will talk like this.
Yeah.
And still that tradition is there in our home. And they will
Does your wife do it?
Yes, she does that.
Okay.
But when she is going in front of my father, she will have that one and she will do that one.
Okay.
She will cover her head.
How about here?
Hmm?
How about here in America?
No, if somebody elders comes, then they will do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a mark of respect. So that's how they do it basically. That's the purpose of it. And if they are going outside, like in the market.
Do your kids do it?
No, kids are, when the girl get married, then they start doing it, not before that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you see, this is culture. It's the way you do things. And it's very important that we maintain the original culture. Now, it's not that, like, even the men cover their head in Punjab.
Everywhere, Prabhu, some sort of other covering is always there on the head.
Yeah.
Like one person there wore the Maharashtrian dress and he was wearing a pagdi on his head. He came to the office wearing that pagdi.
Yeah, it's traditional. In Rajasthan and Maharashtra, it's always traditional.
In this culture, like if you go outside without your turban, it's like a disgrace. Something bad has happened to you and you lost your honor. That's what it means. If you don't step out of the house without a turban, that means you lost your honor.
Where?
In places in Gujarat, Rajasthan, I don't know the other parts.
Yeah, he was saying we are from Peshwa, Maratha, so we always used to wear.
My friend was Maratha, and he was in like first grade. He always wore the
turban.
Yeah, the turban. And one day I asked him why, and he said like, this is religious. So, and then every time he went up to the teacher, he would put his face down and then talk, like he's respecting her.
You see? Now these habits are cultural, and it's based on respect. See, humility. What does this song say? This song says, you should give up all false pride and always consider yourself to be worthless, destitute, lower, and more humble than a blade of grass. Now, this is not a loss of self-esteem. This is a loss of false ego. There's a difference. If you really have self-esteem, then you act like this. If you really have self-esteem. Why? Because self means the soul. It doesn't mean the body and the false ego. What is a false ego? It's something that's false. And if we don't give it up and we inflate it, then we get in trouble all the time. You see. And therefore, this is a safety gap or of the Vedic culture to feel always humble and meek in the execution of devotional service. That doesn't mean you're humble and weak. It's humble and meek. Actually, it's a sign of strength to be like this. It's not a sign of weakness or a sign of not having any self-esteem. Self-esteem is based on the soul. It's not based on the body. And when you know you have an eternal soul, that is real self-esteem. Because it's something that will never be destroyed. And the second thing that can never be destroyed is your relationship with Krishna. No one can destroy Krishna, and no one can actually destroy you as a soul. They can destroy your body, but that body is going to be destroyed anyway. It's temporary, and it's always dying anyway. The cells are always dying in your body. So, don't misinterpret this bhajan. In fact, I'll give you a copy of it, and it's a bhajan that we should learn to sing, because it embodies all the fundamental basis of Vaishnava culture. Right? You should practice forgiveness like that of a tree, and giving up violence toward other living beings. You should protect and maintain them. In the course of, like for example, in Govardhan Puja, if you read the Krishna book, you'll see that not only do you have to offer gigantic mounds of food to Giri Govardhan, but you have to feed all living entities, including the snakes in Govardhan. And if you don't feed the snakes, they'll bite you. You see. That's part of this festival, that all living entities should be fed. There should be no discrimination, including even the snakes. Like one time, years ago, we did Nag Panchami here. It's when we didn't have this temple, and that's when you're supposed to feed a snake. And the people are telling me you have to do it. It's a traditional thing. I said, but there's no snakes here. No. They said, if you do it, the snake will come. I said, but we don't want the snake to come. They said, no. This is what we're supposed to do. By the way, in Armenia they did this too. In Armenia, in the villages, every house had a snake that lived in the house or underneath the house, and they would make a place where they would leave food for it. And a snake would come and eat it and never bite anyone. And this is a fact. So it's not just Nag Panchami in India. It was a thing that was throughout the Middle East also, where you respect the snakes by feeding them. Right? In Bengal, they have a festival called Kukur Mahotsav. You know what Kukur Mahotsav is? No. They invite all the dogs, all the stray dogs in the town, and they feed them, and they show respect to them. It's called Kukur Mahotsav. So these were part of the village culture, because it's part of Vaishnavism that you respect all living entities. Right? So when we did Nag Panchami here in the old temple, and we were doing kirtan, and we had some milk, will you believe it? A snake came, and we picked it up. They told me to hold the snake. Fortunately, it's a garden snake. And we held it, and we gave it some milk, and it took the milk. Right? It bit me also, but maybe I was a little too rough with it. But it took the milk, and then we let it go. Okay. So I'm not saying we should do that, but this is culture where you learn to respect all living entities, not only human beings, but all living entities. And that's what it's saying here. You should practice forgiveness like that of a tree and giving up violence toward other living beings. You should protect and maintain them. And Prabhupada was explaining that I think it was his father, he had a grain business. Is it right? Oh, is it cloth? Okay. But they would keep some food for the rats, so that the rats wouldn't eat the cloth. You see. Something, yeah. And they would leave it, and then rats would come and eat that and not bother the cloth. You see. I mean, these are all traditional things based on the idea of being friendly to all living entities. In the course of passing your life, you should never give anxiety to others. So this whole thing about Halloween and a scary clown and the ghost, it's all nonsense. Because we should never engage in anything that scares other people or animals. But rather do good to them while forgetting about your own happiness. When one has thus become a great soul possessing all good qualities, one should abandon all desires for fame and honor and make one's heart humble. Knowing that Lord Krishna resides within all living creatures, one should with great respect consistently show honor to all beings. By possessing these four qualities, humility, mercifulness, respect toward others, and the renunciation of desires for prestige, one becomes virtuous. So Arush, you remember that word? How do you say it? You're going to look up the meaning? Yeah. In such a state, you may sing the glories of the Supreme Lord. So I'm going to give one sheet to everyone. You ever sing this song? Have you ever sung this song? I mean, you could probably sing it with the same song.
Ravi Purusham Purusham Ambajami Jasumati Nandana Brajabaranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Jasumati Nandana Brajabaranagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Madana Manohara Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliya Damana Vidana Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harinam Amiya Bilasa Amala Harinam Amiya Bilasa Bipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamshivadana Subhasa Inurandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamshivadana Subhasa Bipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamshivadana Subhasa Purandara Navina Nagara Bara Vamshivadana Subhasa Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Nanda Godana Rakuala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Bashanara Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Bashana Rasarasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natavara Bhakti Vinodashraya Bhakti Vinodashraya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Radha Madhava, Lila Madhava.
So we will sing this song.
Yeah, I don't know what my printout is.
If you learn this song, you learn the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness.
Where's my printout? Oh, you want one?
Shri Krishna Kirtane Jadi Manasa Tohar Parama Jatane Tab Tahi Labo Adhikar. Shri Krishna Kirtane Jade Manasa Tohar Parama Jatane Tahi Labo Adhikar. Parama Jatane Tahi Labo. I'm sorry. Chinadika Binadina Akishchanachar Apane Manobe Sadachadi Anankar. Vriksha Samakshama Guna Kodi Basadan Pratihim Satyagi Anye Kori Bikpalan. Shivalani Bahe Ane Udvegasna Tibe Para Upakare Nija Sukha Pararibe Pasaribe. Hoy Hele o sarva gune gune mahasoy Pratishtasa chadi koro amani hirdoy Krishna adhisthana sarve jiva jani sada Koribe samane sabe adare sarvada
Krishna adhisthana sarva jive jani sada Korobi samana sabe adare sarvada
Danya doya anye mana pratishtavajan Shari gune guni hoy koroha kirtan
Danya doya anye mana pratishtavajan Shari gune guni hoy koroha kirtan
Bhakti vinoda kandi bole Prabhu pai Heno adhikara kabe dibe he amai
Bhakti vinoda kandi bole Prabhu pai Heno adhikara kabe dibe he amai
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Krishna Kirtane Jade Manasa Tohar Parama Jatane Kahe Lavo Adhikar Shinadika Hinadina Ishkanachar Apane Manove Sadachadi Ahankar I go to Premanandi Hari. We should learn this song, memorize it. This contains the whole philosophy, the core philosophy of Krishna consciousness. All right? So, yes, Prabhu.
I did my homework.
Oh, okay. Let's hear the homework from yesterday. Give him the microphone.
Wait, what is the homework?
You're going to find out right now.
13. So,
Say what the homework is first.
the assignment was to read 1.2.10 and learn the
1
meaning.
to 10. 1 to 10.
Yeah, 1 to 10. And learn the meaning of Jivasya Tattva Jignasa.
Well, yeah. Give the meaning of Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. Right.
Okay,
Very good.
It's the duty of every living being is to inquire into the absolute truth.
Excellent.
They should not desire anything for sense gratification. The only desire should be for a healthy life so that one can focus on it, inquire, and
Inquiry.
Inquiry and in the truth.
Absolute truth.
In the absolute truth. This activity will make them happy.
You made us all happy right now. Anybody else? Yes. Oh, wait a minute. Let Arush go next. Haribol. By the way, Arush raised his hand and promised yesterday that he was going to do his homework. Very good.
Jivasya tattva means Jivasya means living being. Tattva means the absolute truth, and Jignasa means inquires or asking questions. This human form of life is meant for asking questions about the absolute truth.
Very good. Perfect. Shrestha. Microphone over here. Shrestha. Oh, he wrote more? Come on, finish it, Arish.
The question number 2 I did was explain 1 to 10. We should not desire for sense gratification because our life's goal is to inquire about the absolute truth. In this material world, the ultimate goal is sense gratification for material people. Whatever they do it for sense gratification. For example, most of the people are studying in schools or colleges to earn more money for better sense gratification. But Srimad Bhagavatam says that one should not live for sense gratification. There are regulative direction for satisfaction of senses. For example, satisfying our tongue by eating prasadam.
Haribol. Very good. Well, you have a bunch of pundits here now.
So the word jivasya means of the living being, and jignasa means inquiry. Tattva means the absolute truth. So when put together, jivasya tattva jignasa means a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. So in this verse, Krishna doesn't just say any living soul, he talks about human beings. Since human beings were given the mind and intelligence which helps them decide what they do and from right and wrong, we should be curious. Instead of wasting our human lives for sense gratification, we should strive for self-preservation. And in this verse, self-preservation isn't talking about the human body, it's talking about the soul.
Because if you take care of the soul, the human body will also be taken care of.
Yeah.
If you take care of the human body and ignore the soul, then you become Atmaha, the killer of the soul.
Yes. So we should dwell on important questions which help us realize the purpose of why we are here. The DYS program we have here in the temple is a great example of helping people understand the absolute truth through questions people have had their entire lives.
Excellent.
If one was always curious, they will understand the absolute truth. The human life should also be meant for performing bhakti, which is why one should always be in the questioning state so they may understand why they need to perform the service to the Lord.
Yeah. You don't want to do like what's happened often. I'll give you an example from my own background. When I used to go to church, I mean, I was just like Mayapur. During the church service, there are certain times where you're supposed to stand up, and other times when you're supposed to sit down, and other times when you're supposed to kneel. I never understood why. People would just say, stand up, and I would stand up. You know, they said, okay, sit down, and I would sit down. I said, okay, kneel down now. And kneel down on one knee and say a prayer. But I never really understood why. It was just stand up, sit down, kneel, stand up, sit down, kneel. Right? When I got a little older, I started asking a few questions, and many of the parents didn't know. They would say, "Oh, this is just so respect, you know. You stand up, you sit down," but they didn't really know the foundational reason why. Why? Actually, later on, I when I learned how to read Armenian, and at that time the books were not really translated into English, so either you knew it or you didn't know it, right? So then I learned to read in my own language, and then I understood that whenever the priest would read something from the Bible, we had to stand up, right? And then when they would not actually be reading from the Bible, but just saying like mantras, you could sit down. Right? But whenever they would read from the Bible, and they would say, you know, and God said, so forth, you had to stand up. You know? But it took me years, not until I was an adult, until I could understand that. So in the same way, you know, you'll see, you know, parents bring their kids to the temple and they say, Jai Karo, Jai Karo, Jai Karo, you know, kid goes down like this, you know, but it doesn't really know. I mean, it's a sign of respect, yes, but they don't really know the reason. And then when you know, then the kid goes to school, and other people say, "Oh, you're a Hindu? Oh, you're worshiping many gods." And kids say, "Yeah." And they say, "Well, that's wrong." You know, kid doesn't know, right? Whether it's right or wrong, right? Because parents never explain anything about why they're worshiping all the gods. Or if they did explain, it was some hodgepodge explanation, you know. You can worship any god and go back to, you know, go to Swarga, whatever. So this not being able to explain the basis for these different rituals or different postures or different customs, and just do the thing and don't ask any questions, eventually people give up doing it. Eventually give up doing it. So this same thing happened in Christianity. When the Protestants revolted against the Catholic Church, it was on this point also that the Catholic Church had ritualized everything and didn't give much teaching from the Bible. They would like just in my church, they would read from the Bible, but in the ancient language. So they used to do that in the Catholic Church. So they would read the Bible in Latin, and common people didn't understand Latin, right? They didn't start reading the Bible in English until the 1960s. Yeah, it's the Catholic Church, not the Protestants. The Protestants translated everything. The Protestants have translated the Bible into every language in the world now, right? And they don't have a ritualized program in their church. They'll sing hymns, but they don't have any rituals. Everything is based on the Bible, understanding the Bible, you know. So you see this. Why? Because they also did not want to just follow rituals anymore without understanding why, and they actually were fanatic. They just cut them all out and they just go on the Bible. Yes.
I think that's why also when people were moving to America, many of people's reasons were because freedom of religion, because over there in England, many people were becoming Catholics, and Protestant people and the Puritans didn't have a place, and they were also discriminated.
Yeah, what happened in England, it's very interesting. There was King Henry VIII, and he didn't like his wife. So he wanted another wife, but divorce was not allowed. So he rejected the Catholic Church. There were all Catholics in England before. He rejected the Catholic Church and started his own church called the Episcopalian Church, where it does the same thing as the Catholic Church, but it allows divorce, right? You see, so it's interesting to understand this. And now in America, the Episcopalian Church is called the Anglican Church. See? Because, you know, they separated from England. So they separated church. Now the same thing just happened in Ukraine. Because Russia invaded Ukraine, right? So the Ukrainian Orthodox Church declared its independence from the Greek Orthodox Church. No, actually no, from the there's only one Orthodox Church, but it's divided into nationalities. But they're all loyal to Greece, the Greek patriarchy. But because the Russians and the Ukrainians got into this war, the Ukrainians asked permission of the Greek patriarch if they can separate their church from the Russian church and the regular, hierarchical structure. Yes?
So do they all now report up to the Pope, or no? It's completely...
No. There's no Pope. It's the head of the Greek Orthodox Church actually it's in Constantinople. It's in Istanbul, right? That's the head of the whole Orthodoxy. But they do have national churches, but they all work with the Orthodox Church in I think it's Constantinople. Anyway, the Greeks gave permission to the Ukrainians to separate themselves. This is the biggest schism in the Orthodox world in 1,000 years. So, and the same thing happened a long time ago with England separated from the Catholic Church and started the Episcopalian Church. Yes?
There's this pure Indian woman who, she was from Tamil Nadu. She came here and her name was
Moni? What? Mohini.
Her name is Mohini. She moved from India like 2 years ago, only 2 years ago, really recently. And she now she's staying in a church, and she shaved her head, and she abandoned all her ritualistic Hindu activities.
Yeah, it happens. It happens because Christians know how to convert Hindus because they get them on this thing about many gods. And Christianity is only one God, and then they get them on the caste system. The caste system is unjust the way it's being practiced in India. And there's so many things. They have a whole list of things where they can convince a Hindu rather easily to give up Hinduism and take up Christianity. Yes?
So, you told this class a bunch of times, but I still keep on forgetting. Once over the summer, you told us how to defeat how to respond to the question when the Christians say you worship many gods.
Right.
And then
You forgot my answer.
Yes.
Yeah. You want me to repeat it?
I have the notes in my old book, but that one's full up. So
Old is gold. Always remember that. Old is gold.
I have 2 books from your lectures.
Okay. Well, the point is that Vaishnavism is not polytheistic. You know what that word means, polytheistic? It means worshiping many gods. Vaishnavism is basically monotheistic. It worships one supreme God. What happened in Hinduism is, especially in Kali Yuga, the idea of many gods became prominent due to impersonal philosophy, impersonalism, of Sankaracharya. And the idea that there's only one, supreme spirit. It's called the Brahman. And any diversity that you see, like many different individuals in this world, and many different demigods and all this, it's actually an illusion. It doesn't really exist. What exists, what is real, is Brahman, the eternal light and energy. And it's a homogeneous thing, it's oneness. So, in the material world, you can worship demigods, you can worship any god you want if it helps you in your meditation on the Brahman. Right? So it's like a crutch in the idea for the impersonalists. So, therefore, yatamat tatapat, whatever path you take, it'll take you back to, as long as you do meditation and gradual renunciation, it'll take you back to the supreme truth. So you can worship any god you want. You can not worship God. That also, as long as you renounce the material world and give up your ego and merge back into the light. Okay, so this impersonalism is the basis for all these aberrations or deviations from Vedic culture, because it's first of all, it's a false philosophy, and secondly, it breeds atheism. It breeds not really understanding the spiritual hierarchy. So the demigods are very elevated devotees, but still they have some attachment to the material world. So because they're very elevated devotees all at the same time, they're given very big positions in the universe to serve Krishna. But some people prefer to go to the demigods rather than go to Krishna, because the demigods will give material benefits. And it's true, they will, to their worshippers. But those material benefits are temporary, they're not eternal. And it just prolongs the period that a person stays in the material world. Okay, so the short answer is the original Vedic culture is monotheistic. It believes in one supreme personality of Godhead. And how do we know that? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the most mature Vedic literature that Vyasadeva wrote. And Vyasadeva is the author or compiler of the original Vedas, and then author of the Puranas, author of the Mahabharata, author of the Vedanta Sutra, so, and then ultimately author of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He answers his own question. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now let us inquire into the absolute truth. That's the first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra. And the natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra is the Srimad Bhagavatam, also written by Vyasadeva, and the answer is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that the supreme absolute truth, or Bhagavan, is Vasudevaya, the son of Vasudeva, Krishna, the most beautiful personality. So, Krishna conscious, and then Krishna says it about himself, Aham sarvasya prabhavu matak sarvam pravartate, that I am the origin of everything material and spiritual. Those persons who know this worship me in devotion, right? And then also Brahma says this, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha, that the supreme absolute truth is Lord Krishna, and he has a transcendental body made of Satchit Ananda, eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So all the great Mahajans, the greatest authorities, Vedic authorities, have all confirmed that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. All others are his servants. So therefore it's a monotheistic religion. But we also give respect to the Devas because they're the servants of the Lord. Right? But that doesn't mean they're on the equal level with Krishna. Right? So that's the answer. So and most Christians will be surprised because they're all taught that Hinduism is all about polytheism, worshiping many gods. And that is not allowed at all in Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. They reject that. That's why Muslims will easily kill Hindus. For them it's not a sin, because Hindus they believe in many gods, and that is strictly forbidden in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Okay, that's why when a person is converted from Hinduism to Christianity, they learn to hate Hinduism. They're the worst Christians I ever met in my life. I mean, I'm a Christian, but we never hated Hindus, But Americans who convert Hindus to Christianity, they teach them to hate Hinduism. And it's basically because of the polytheistic practice in Hinduism, and which is false, actually. It's not Vedic. Yes?
Now when I go to India,
I went there 4 years ago. There were like many temples, and there were like 1 or 2 churches. And now I go to the same place and I see the opposite. There's so many churches, but there's less temples that are actually open and that you can go to.
Like if you convert a Christian in India to Hinduism, they don't teach them to hate the Hindus. I mean, hate the Christians. Like I was converted to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada never taught me to hate Christianity. In fact, he always spoke highly of Jesus Christ and of Hazrat Muhammad, right? And he also says that Christianity and Islam are Vedic type religions because they believe in one God, just like we believe in one supreme God. You see? Yes.
If you're talking about converting into religion, it's said in like the Constitution or something, or in the Bill of Rights, first right is like not...
Freedom of religion.
Yeah, freedom of religion. Then how could they change their religion?
No. Freedom of religion means you can follow any religious system you want in America. Because the government does not promote one religion over another. It guarantees you the right to follow whatever religion. Because many people came to America to become free of religious prejudice. Because in Europe, there were certain countries where you had to be Catholic. There were other countries they rejected Catholicism. You could be a Protestant, right? And there was like a lot of prejudice. So those people who felt that prejudice, they wanted to come to America because there wasn't that old system of governance here. So they came here to have freedom of religion. And then when they made the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights, they guaranteed freedom of religion. So that's why you can see so many different religions in America. Even the Muslims here, they don't stop the Muslims from opening mosques here, right? If you go to Saudi Arabia, you're not allowed to open a Hindu temple, right? But America guarantees religious freedom, as it does guarantee freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, so many different freedoms that the government cannot really regulate. Freedom to have arms, to guns. Okay. Yeah. You know, by the way, the Founding Fathers did not give the right to bear arms, to own guns, for self-defense. The original reason for that amendment to the Constitution was so that the people could defend themselves against tyranny, against an oppressive government. That was the whole reason, because England was an oppressive government, and the English did not allow guns to the normal people so that they could defend themselves. So when the revolution started, anyone who engaged in the revolution was immediately a criminal according to the British system.
I also had an assignment where I had to do a poster on an amendment, and I had the First Amendment as mine.
Freedom of religion. Very good. Yes, Pranay.
Freedom of religion was after the First Amendment, not in the original Constitution.
Yeah, the amendments and the Bill of Rights or whatever, you know, they specifically made those so that there could be no interpretation of it. Right? They're absolute, you know, rules of government. The government cannot interfere in the practice of religion unless the religion, part of the religion is the overthrow of the government. Then they would interfere. But as long as it's a spiritual thing, they don't care what religion you follow, you know. And the same with bearing arms. Bearing arms was necessary so that people could protect themselves from a tyrannous or a tyrannical government. It's not just it's not for self-defense. It's for the people can stand up if their rights are being, you know, taken away from them. Yes.
So, like, all my friends that sit around me, when I say that,
are they friends?
Well, yeah, they're Indians, but they're also American. They're Indian Americans.
Yeah.
They believe in.
You don't have any American friends?
Some, like the guy who dressed in the clown costume. Okay. But basically, they think I don't know why, but they think the temple colors outside is obnoxious, and they say it's like looking bad and it makes it look really bad. And when I try to explain them that it's to represent the colors of the lotus and to represent Krishna, they don't understand. So how could I make them understand that the temple colors are not supposed to be obnoxious, but they're supposed to represent something that is really important?
Well, colors of the temple are happy colors, right? Pink, white, different shades of pink. So it's a whole. It's representative of Anandamaya Vyasat. The nature of the soul is to be happy, right? And it looks like a pink and white birthday cake. Birthdays are happy. Right? It's better than, having black with blood on it, like Halloween. If anything is obnoxious, Halloween is obnoxious. That's what's obnoxious, not the temple, not the color of the temple. And tell them, if you want to see better colors, come inside the temple.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're all stupid comments. Someone can say, "Well, I think you're obnoxious because you're white, and white is like white bread, like Wonder Bread. Obnoxious." Well, those are all what you call subjective opinions. What does that mean? There's objective opinions and subjective opinions. What's the difference between an objective opinion and a subjective opinion? Yes?
Subjective will be depending and tainted by your own understanding, and objective will be neutral, which is actual fact-based.
Well, objective is fact-based, but a subjective is based on your perception. Now, everyone has imperfect senses. If a person who's colorblind looks at the temple, he'll say, "Oh, I don't like the color." Well, he can't see color, right? And so when it's subjective, it's based on your imperfect senses. It's not necessarily based on fact, right? So people perceive things differently. Like, for example, one time I was in this one store, the Olympia Co-op in Olympia, and I had delivered an order from Uncle Harry's, and I wanted to show the buyer a new product we had. So I said, we have a new product. This is, it's frankincense and charcoal for burning it. So I said, "You want me to show you?" And the lady said, "Yeah." So I lighted the charcoal and I put some frankincense on it. You know what frankincense is, right? They use it in churches for incense. It smells very nice, right? And frankincense comes from India, by the way, and Ethiopia. They call it Google or benzoin in India. And anyway, when the smoke started going, and some of it went into the store, and we were in the office of the buyer, one lady started screaming at the top of her lungs and went into a fit of hysteria. And everyone freaked out, and the lady said, "Oh, that incense, that incense," So, right away we had to run and put out the incense, And then when the lady stopped screaming and crying, people said, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, that incense reminds me of the priest that treated me badly in the Catholic Church." So she had a memory. It brought back a memory, right? And I mean, she was screaming at the top of her lungs. Right? She went hysterical, right? So you see, everyone perceives things differently. The buyer said, "Oh, smells great. We're going to bring that product in." And the lady freaked out because it reminded her of something that happened to her, the smell. You see, so those are subjective things. They're not based on actual fact. It's based on your imperfect senses. That's a subjective opinion. Like, I like this color, I don't like that color. But colors like they're changing all the time. Like for example, some days it's gray outside. Some days it's blue. You see, those are subjective things. It's based on perception, and perception is always imperfect. Whereas objective, you can measure it, and the color might change according to the light, but the weight and the size, stays more stable. And then based on the weight, the size, the form, you can identify it as, a table or a car. You see. So that's a more objective perception or opinion. Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, last week on Sunday you started the 1000 Gita books campaign. So I just wanted to bring to your attention that to everybody here that there is a similar campaign by BBT. There is like Be a Giver. This is across India in all ISKCON temples. And I remember you were giving the vision where all the devotees, one devotee can give at least one Bhagavad Gita. So it's an opportunity for us to be like part of that one world team. And it is like grow by giving. So what BBT is saying that we should go to Facebook and post our, with the hashtag Be a Giver, the books which we distribute. So every single among here can distribute 1 or 2 books, whatever they want to contribute for Srila Prabhupada. And they can register themselves at the website Prabhupada Marathon for the same, everyone. And add their count.
Sure. Very good. Okay, we'll stop right there. So your homework is learn this bhajan. Okay? If you can't learn the whole thing, at least learn the first 2 verses. Okay? But mainly read, every day read the meaning of this bhajan, because it has the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in it. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we have a program for Srila Prabhupada right now, starting at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock? With 9 o'clock.
What?
It just starts by 9.
It starts by 9.
Where did it start? Oh, why didn't you say something then? It doesn't matter.
So, what's happening?
We're starting right now. Yeah. I think we're going to start off with kids' presentations or their offerings to Srila Prabhupada.